Alright, so this is fully cured, and I'm actually really happy with how rigid it is. It's like very rigid. So I feel really good about the strength, and yeah, I think we're close to being done with this. I'm debating another layer of fiberglass, but I don't think we need it. I mean, this thing is like really strong. So I'll play around with it a little bit more, but the first thing I want to do is cut these edges off. They're sharp and fiberglassy and all that stuff. So I took our template and I drew a line down here, and we're just going to trim the excess fiberglass off, and then we'll sand it down a little bit, and it will be much easier to move around and work with. We can take it up front and see how it looks, see if we need to trim off a little more or figure out what we'll do next, and then we'll sand down the surface a little bit on both sides, and maybe fill in some of these gaps. I'm not really sure if it's even necessary, but we'll just kind of play it by ear and see what happens. So there's not as much as I thought there was going to be to trim off, but I'm going to try it with our little jigsaw here, and I'm not even sure if there's enough for the jigsaw. So if the jigsaw doesn't work, then we'll just sand it down. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so I've been sanding for a few hours, and I figured I would spare you all of that. But we got this all sanded down, nice and smooth. Got our edges sanded down. They're all nice and smooth as well, not dangerous anymore. And as you can see, the tank lid fits perfectly in here, and it's like super strong. I'm comfortable with this. It's not going anywhere. There's it's supporting my weight 100%, and I feel pretty good about it. So this is exciting. We actually have made significant progress, and it's a good feeling. So what are we doing from here? Well, we need to get the inside of the tank all painted with the potable water epoxy coating. We need to cut out a big hole right here and a big hole where I'm sitting in this lid. And we also need to fiberglass this lid in here. So in order to do that, I'm gonna need to grind down this fiberglass, get this paint off of here, so that we can fiberglass this in place, and then we'll get to work on that. I could mechanically fasten this in place, but I think that if we do that, we'll end up with leaks. And the reason why I think that is because this mold, this inner lining, is not perfectly smooth around this perimeter, and it would be like a ton of work to get it perfectly smooth, and then we would have to have like a gasket made. We're gonna have to drill and tap and all sorts of stuff, and I think the end result would be it leaking. If it doesn't leak right in the beginning, it leaks a couple of years from now, and I think it's going to be a major pain in the butt, so we're not doing that. We are just going to grind this surface down, and we're going to fiberglass this in place. We will have 2 very large cutouts so that we have full access to the tank, and yeah, that is the plan. I think maybe pretty soon I'll do a little video filling this thing up with water and checking our capacity. That way any of you out there thinking about doing this on your boat will know how much capacity this will actually add, because I don't even know the answer to that right now. So that would be pretty cool to find out. Okay, I guess the only other thing I should say is I'm not 100% sure on the regularity of the videos right now. As you know, we try to put out one of these every single week, and we have successfully done that for, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months. I don't even remember when we started doing this. Almost a year ago, I guess. And, you know, with the blog post, we used to put out a similar amount. But I've been working a lot recently, like a lot. I'm hoping today will be my first day off in just over 4 weeks. And, you know, I say hoping because like I could get a call at any time saying that I'm needed and I would have to go into work. But I'm going to attempt to take the day off today, and that will be my first day off in about a month. So it's just been a lot. We've had a new location open up, and we've had a bunch of promotions going on that have been very time consuming. So I've been working 7 days a week, sometimes, you know, 12, 14-hour days, and it's been a lot. It's been hard on the family, and it's been hard on me not getting to see the boys. You know, some days I didn't get to see them at all. You know, I leave before they wake up, and sometimes I don't get home until after they're asleep. But luckily that's a rare occasion. Usually I get to see them for an hour or two before they go to bed, but I would like to see them more. And yep, I think that it's just one of those sacrifices that we're making short term in order to make sure that they're well provided for, but it cannot be permanent. So, you know, we've got to be around to raise them as well. So that is top of mind. And it sucks not getting out here. You know, I'd love to be out here working more. But like I mentioned in another video, we're working on some things to hopefully try to make that happen. You know, I'm not sure, but maybe we could live a little bit closer to here and make that happen. Alright, so that's the full update. I just keep looking at this because I'm super excited about it. This is just awesome. It's so cool to be able to create something like this. And, you know, it's not hard. It is not hard. So I encourage everybody to get out there and do something of your own. Just take your time. As you can see, I've been taking my time with this. We've been working on this one project for like 6 months. Take your time and do it right, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so you'll remember that we had this little bubble when we originally laid down this fiberglass. I've since sanded that bubble out, and then I ground down a 12-to-1 bevel here. And so this is now ready to be repaired. You know, I thought about not filming this, but I figured it'd be really interesting because this is the same repair that you would do if you had something damaged on your boat. So let's say, I'm trying to think of something really bad. You know, this is what you would do if you have a hole in your boat. So let's say you have a spinnaker pole or a whisker pole that goes crazy, something breaks, who knows, and it just like spears the deck of your boat. And suddenly you have this like quarter size hole that has been, struck into your boat. So you want to repair this, and you want to repair it well, and you're the type of person who wants to do it so well that you can't actually see that there was ever any damage. So what you would do is grind that quarter size hole down to a beveled area, and the hole might become something like this big. So you remember, I just had this little itsy bitsy bubble here, and now suddenly it's like this big. It's almost the size of my fist. So you grind and grind and grind, and what you want to do is get rid of any damaged fiberglass. So you want to grind away any damaged fiberglass, and make a nice bevel. This bevel is so smooth that you can barely feel it. So that's how wide of a bevel it really is. I usually don't get too precise in my measurements, but basically you want to take the thickness of the fiberglass, times it by 12, and that's your bevel length area. I don't get that specific. I really just make a really nice smooth bevel, and it usually ends up being more than needed. So then what you do is you take some of the same fiberglass, and we're going to cut out a little section. Now this is really small, and I only have one layer of fiberglass here. So what I'm going to do here is a little bit different than what you might end up doing on your boat, which has multiple layers of fiberglass. What I'm going to do here is just cut out a section that is the same size as the edge of my bevel, and then I will come back and sand the area where it's double thick down, and it will be a completely smooth surface, the same amount of fiberglass all the way through. But like I said, this is just one layer of fiberglass. On your boat, you're going to have multiple layers of fiberglass, and so it's going to be a little bit thicker. And what you would want to do is, just like I'm doing, make a, for our example, you're going to have a section about this big after you've ground it all down for your little quarter size problem, and you're going to cut a piece of fiberglass that big. And then you're going to cut a piece of fiberglass a little bit smaller, and then another one a little bit smaller. So let's say you have 3 rings of fiberglass that are smaller and smaller. You put the big one down first, and then you put the medium sized one, and then you put the smallest one right there in the middle. And ideally you would have some peel ply or vacuum bagging cloth, smooth it over and let it cure. What we're going to do, since we only have this one little piece here, is just cut out enough to make this right again, whole again, and we don't need to have multiple layers because this is not very thick. So there you have it. It's not rocket science, you just kind of cut it. What we're going to do is we're going to wet this out and wet this out, sandwich them together, probably lay it down on the floor, put some cloth over it, and let it cure. And the next time we come in, it'll be fully cured, we'll sand it down, and it'll be good as new. Alright, let's get to it. Okay, so hopefully you can see that was super easy. It took like 5 minutes maybe. And now once we peel this off and sand it down, we're going to have completely perfect repair. Like I said, if you're working on your boat, you're going to have thicker fiberglass. It's going to be a little bit more complicated, kind of like what I wrote about on the blog when we record the deck. But it's all the same theory, the same practice, so that's how it works. Alright, so this is fully cured, and you can see that the fiberglass is all nice and bonded into our top here. And basically now all that's left to be done is to just give it a quick sand to make sure it's completely even with all of this. And that's it. Clean up the sides a little bit, and then this repair is complete. Alright, and that's all. We are completely repaired here, and this thing is ready to go.